Hello, it's that time of the week. It's Ask Guillem time. And before we go any further, let me thank Arya Yuyutsu, who of course is editing all these videos and is making it look so fantastic. Any other suggestion for improvement, anything that you think I should be doing or I should be talking about, just comment on it and let me know, and do tell everybody that we're here and we aim to be here for much longer. Remember, there is the second part of the Pep Guardiola interview coming up, and other things which I won't tell you about. Plus Ask Guillem every week, and of course the top 5 on Mondays, plus other things you'll know soon about. But it's time for Ask Guillem, and the questions yet again, really good selection of them. So let's see what we got time for. Starting with Danny Spring, Strange Quark 77, who says, what made you get involved in one of my hometown teams, Biggleswade United? Well, Danny, I hope that you come to see us. It is one of the teams in Biggleswade for sure. And I got an email from the chairman at the time, Chris Lewis, who said, you know, we hear you talk about football. Let's see if you know as much as you think you do. So come and do something with the club. And I organize, as you can imagine, I get a lot of emails from different people, but this one, the timing was fantastic because I actually got my coaching badges recently, and I wanted to coach for Hitchin Town actually, and I was talking to the manager there about that. Never found the time, and basically what I did was meet Chris Lewis like the day after for a coffee, already with a bunch of ideas that I wanted to do for the club, a club that had 4 volunteers and 2 teams. And look at us now. We've got about 19 teams and about 140 young players with us, and we cannot grow anymore because there's no facilities for it. So the next fight is, of course, to get the facilities, and only recently I became chairman of the club, which is a big privilege and a responsibility as well. As I take everything that I do in my life, I'll put 120%, which is not mathematically possible, but you know what I'm saying, into it. And I hope I make the club proud of being the chairman. Now, do come and see us because we're playing really good football. Top 6 at the moment, and going up. We've got between 2 and 3 or 4 games in hand. So if we win, we'll end up top 4 and fighting for those positions until the end of the season, hopefully. So fascinating time of the club for many, many reasons. And for more on that, I do a weekly column which I put on Twitter for the Biggleswade Chronicle, which is another thing that needs a lot of attention and TLC when it gets published. So that's one. When Dozy at Football EN says, any reason to believe Arsenal could sign Ousmane Dembele? No reason, not in January anyway. But why would Arsenal go and get a player that has just been punished for disciplinary reasons by Barcelona, who has been pointed out by the likes of Rakitic and Piqué, 2 of the leaders of the squad, that he needs to change, in which the Shams has added as well, saying that, yes, I know what it means, and I remember him being late in meetings. He's got to change. Somebody mentioned Anelka as a comparison in terms of he's got the ability, but he doesn't know what it requires to be a professional of the highest standard. He's got an opportunity in life, I would say, of succeeding at Barcelona, and has got in Valverde somebody that will be patient. But I'm always fascinated by the psychology of players. What I see is perhaps somebody that is not comfortable at the top of the game, and perhaps he will be happier where there is less obligations and responsibilities, and he can be himself, somebody that won't put him on the bench, somebody that will be happy with whatever he delivers at the pace that he delivers it. I'm not talking about pace on the pitch, but you know, even with disciplinary action. What's the expression? Some people prefer to be the head of the, this is a Spanish expression, head of the mouse instead of the tail of the tiger, lion, either. Next one from ASG, Ahat Footy, says, which club do you see Pep joining when, if he leaves City after a few years? He wants to be a national coach, first of all. So, not first of all, but he wants to be a national coach. It's a dream of his to be coaching a national side. And I know that in Argentina and Brazil he's got admirers, so who knows, that kind of side. England, perhaps, at some point. But still early for him. I remember talking to him many years back and thinking, about 50, that age, start thinking of a national side. But I think he's so hooked on the day-to-day work that he puts for the side that City will be there for a long while for him. And after that, he'll have to look for another challenge. Of course, when you have won so much, it's easier to keep winning if you go to a top team. But he's been at Bayern. He hasn't been to Italy. But a different kind of challenge would be to manage, say, Athletic Bilbao or a club of that caliber with a particular philosophy and with a clear idea of what football has to be played, more or less, but in which he can influence and trying to challenge with that. But as I said, that perhaps is a romantic view of what he should be doing next, and that's something that is toyed in his mind. But I think there will be a top team in Italy that will try to lure him at some point, even though they won't be able to match both wages of his and wages for players and transfers for players. But in any case, it will be another opportunity to be at the top in another league. One thing that he dreams of as well, and he said that himself recently, is to direct the academy of Barcelona. Maybe at some point he'll be given the opportunity as well. Justin Engelbrecht at Sydney Red Justin says, interesting in your view on Barca and Real Madrid financial position. Read recently their wage levels are the highest in Europe. That will be Barcelona, I imagine, that you referred to. Is that sustainable? Those figures came out, did not match actually the wage expectation of the budget of Barcelona for the next year. And they thought they reduced to a 68% the wages, which is then sustainable because they think they're going to bring enough money to the club not to make it that a problem. It was a problem until now. It's not so much a problem now. In the case of Real Madrid, their finances and the numbers get blurred a little bit, and nobody's able to, having seen the kind of figures that it get exposed and shown to the fans, nobody's able to see if actually they have, as some suggest, about 300 million euros debt, which will be increased to 600 if they put the retractable roof that they want and improve the conditions on the stadium. And that's a lot of debt for Real Madrid. But Real Madrid feel that whatever debt they have, they can manage. We all manage with debt, perhaps not at that caliber, but they think they are fine financially. But what they won't do is match some of the transfers and wages that the Premier League, for instance, are paying at the moment. They put a limit to that, hence the change of policies that we're talking about in terms of signing players. There was, Henry Hill, and this one more, and then I have to go to La Liga TV. He says, at Voice of Reason, or Reason, he says, Guillem, do you think Pep Guardiola will win the league with the current Manchester United squad with, let's say, Mourinho in charge at City? Great question. In fact, we'll leave it at that one, because it probably is going to be a long answer. I say no. He probably won't win the league with this Manchester United squad, because he hasn't molded the squad. The squad that he arrived at Manchester City was more or less prepared for him. Kevin De Bruyne, signed a year earlier than his arrival, had the approval of Pep Guardiola, because quite clearly City asked Chico Baby Stein asked Pep Guardiola about Kevin De Bruyne, who of course was in Germany, and Pep Guardiola couldn't talk more highly of him. So, right, the rest of the team, it's molded in that kind of football that Pep Guardiola wanted, apart from the fullbacks, who of course had to be renewed, and they had to find new players for that, as the ones they had were too old and perhaps surely not of the style that Pep Guardiola likes. But the axis of the team was more or less there. At Manchester United, the squad is not of a quality to win the league, not even with Pep Guardiola. How long will it take for him to renew that squad? 3-4 windows at least, but it'll have to be a big rebuilding. Now, Another question would be, is Mourinho taking the best out of the squad of Manchester United? I don't think he is. I think he is actually using his own ways of motivating the side by giving them carrot and stick. I don't think players react to that as much as they used to. That probably is frustrating him, and the style also feels a little bit outdated. And I thought the moment where I first felt that was when he was with Chelsea and PSG. Was it the last 16 of the Champions League, and PSG got Ibrahimovic sent off, so Chelsea had to adapt to play against 10, and they couldn't. And if I'm not mistaken, PSG actually went through into the next round. I felt that his teams used to have a lot of flexibility, or at least whatever the way they decide to play, it was like a roller coaster. It was like a, how do you say, a trailblazer, just step on anybody's rival. And his Chelsea didn't do that. So that was the beginning of me thinking, what's happening? And what's happening, of course, is that he put so much emphasis into the defensive work and gives a lot of freedom in training as well to the intuition and talent of the players, that unless he gets players very talented that create all the time, the teams depend a lot on their defense. Well, now you see, from Pep Guardiola's Manchester City to Spurs to so many others, teams are prepared to defend and attack in different ways, with different formations, and a flexibility that it doesn't depend on, changing 3 players at halftime because things are not going well, and fingers crossed that it works for him, which is what happens with Jose Mourinho sometimes. He gives a lot of responsibility and confidence, I guess, to the talent of the players, but collectively there are teams that are better prepared. So would Manchester City win the league with Jose Mourinho? And I think it will be difficult for him to do that. Number one, because the squad that it's there, he wouldn't appreciate. It's not the kind of players he wants. Number two, because the likes of Liverpool, for instance, and Spurs at some point, especially Liverpool, have got so many layers as a team that they will take over that league with a Manchester United in renewal with Pep Guardiola in charge, and a Manchester City with Jose Mourinho also trying to renew it, because he probably won't appreciate what's in the squad already. So that league with Manchester United and Manchester City with the manager's swap will be won by Liverpool. What do you think? I'd love to hear from you about that. Anyway, subscribe and tell everybody that we're here. Bye-bye.